London, one of the most cosmopolitan cities in Europe and home to the country's central financial system, with places like the Bank of England and London Stock Exchange dictating the cost of money. This is where the economic downturn began to take hold early in 2008. The recession may have manifested itself into our economy, but capital city still continues to thrive and life goes on, with business very much open as usual. "140 miles north of here, people are being hit hard by the impact of the recession after this firm, which manufactures ball bearing parts, closed its gates for the last time." Lorraine Vincent was made redundant by Mini-Bear, and after 13 years at the company, she comes back home from work for the last time after saying her goodbyes to friends and colleagues. Lorraine, who is married with one son, will now be forced to find a new job in this economic downturn so that they can afford to keep their home. For her and her family, these last few weeks have been an emotional time.
And we got called to a meeting on the shop floor, and they said, you're on a 90-day consultation because of the financial crunch. The factory's closing and it's cheaper to make in Thailand. It wasn't till I've got home today that it started to affect me, because my family, luckily my son's finishing uni this year, so less expense, but the thing is, you still got bills and mortgages to pay.
So what would happen if you were unable to find a new job?
Well, my husband's told me not to worry, but move away, move away, move away, move away, move away.
Unemployment in the UK has breached the 2 million mark, and more jobs are being lost every single day. And it's not just our jobs that are affected by the credit crunch, our homes are too. With no primary source of income, people up and down the country are having their homes repossessed. So we came down to a housing auction in Norwich to see the real homes under the hammer. There were 40,000 homes repossessed in 2008 in the UK, with a further 75,000 expected in the coming year. As unemployment continues to soar, those who are affected by this may struggle to pay off their mortgage and, as a result, get into serious debt. This leads to their home being repossessed, where they will be auctioned off at places like this to ensure a quick sale. And experts say people who have lost their homes will struggle to get back onto the property ladder.
The current market is actually buoying up a little bit after a very torrid tail end of 2008. 2009 has started a lot better. There's a little bit more money around. If you've had your property repossessed and you've got a bad credit history, then it is going to be very difficult to get back into the property market. It's really cash reserve people who are going to make the most of this current market. If you need a mortgage, you've got a very little chance of getting one if you've got a credit history.
Slow starters.
For people looking to move up the property ladder, housing auctions represent a fantastic opportunity to invest in a new home for what could potentially be at a bargain price. With 16 lots up for grab, I sat back and watched on as bidders fought it out between themselves, which raised the question, credit crunch? What credit crunch? Well, the bidding war's already over, and 14 lots have already been sold today. That's indicative of the 75,000 homes that will be repossessed, according to the Council of Mortgage Lenders, and that just shows how much of an impact the recession really has had on the housing market. With house prices hitting rock bottom, it's no wonder that estate agents are struggling for business, with people reluctant to sell their property for such low offers. In fact, the Land Registry have revealed that average house prices in the UK have fallen by more than 15% in the last year alone. From the housing auction in Norwich back to Lincolnshire, we went in search of someone who is selling their home because of the impact of the credit crunch. Sally Gower has been forced to put her home up for sale because she can no longer afford to pay off the bills at her current house.
Well, unfortunately we didn't have a tracker mortgage, so we've had no reduction in the mortgage, and the cost of living as it is at the moment, everything's just costing that bit more, and money just isn't there. Really, the just cost of the upkeep and everything in the present climate with the credit crunch and such like, money just isn't going as far as it did before. Hopefully we'll have made enough money on this property if we get somewhere near the asking price to be able to put a reasonable deposit down on the next house.
So what kind of house are you looking to move into?
A more modern house that's warmer and less maintenance to it.
In Sally and Lorraine, we've seen two people that have been hit hard by the economic recession. But with people out in force on our high streets every day, there must be those who are not feeling that dreaded crunch. I went in search of a business who were doing just that. Football. The beautiful game, and it seems beautifully credit crunch resistant. But is it a game of two halves? There's been little to cheer about here at Boston United Football Clubs, as the fans have witnessed 3 relegations in just 2 seasons. It may be a multinational business and the world's most popular sport, but even football is struggling to tackle the effects of the recession. The club may have survived relegation for the first time in 3 seasons, but with them lingering at the bottom of the table, it could mean sponsors pulling out. But is there light at the end of the tunnel for the Pilgrims and their supporters?
With the sort of limited resources we've got, we're looking at trying to make the club break even over the next couple of years. Obviously that's going to be more difficult with the current credit crunch, but we're doing okay at the moment. You can see, the ground's full of boards, so people are coming out and supporting us. We've just recently, in the last in the last month or so, had a new stadium sponsor come forward, which is fantastic. We're all ready for next season. So overall, I know there's a credit crunch on, but we're doing okay really, considering we've been relegated as well.
As we've already seen, unemployment is continuing to soar in the UK, and the housing market is not faring much better either. So, what next for Britain's economy? Our latest outing takes us to a small town in north of Lincolnshire called Brigg, where I went to see local Labour MP Ian Causey, as he believes the cause of the credit crunch crisis is more of a universal problem rather than just a fault of the central government.
There will not be an incumbent government of any colour anywhere in the world that's not having a period of unpopularity at the moment, because you can stop people in the street and you'll say, have you heard about the global credit crunch? And they'll say, oh yeah, you're all about that. And then they'll say, well, and what's the government doing about it? And that's politics, and I understand that. So the government, quite rightly in my view, has put a lot of time and effort into work with building societies and work with banks, so that repossessions really are a very, very, very last option, and that lots of support goes in to help people keep their homes.
But try telling that to those who are the casualties of this credit crunch.
Just look for a job, and at the moment there's not a lot around here. So basically I'm just keep looking on the internet and local papers, see what there's around, but there's very little at the minute.